Hello, fellow gamers. Kielari here to share with you some thoughts about Battleborn, a game I wouldn't even know existed if I hadn't randomly stumbled over a video by TotalBiscuit in which he discusses it in great detail. Ultimately, it's his video that got me hooked into playing it during the open beta, which was held from the 13th to the 18th of April for PC. I am going to assume you already know what Battleborn is, perhaps you've even tried it out, and you're looking for more insight or something to help you decide whether you want to buy/slash pre-order it or leave it where it is. If that isn't the case, I encourage you to go watch TotalBiscuit's video, which I have linked in the description below, because he does a much better job at describing what the game is than I ever will, and I won't be taking the time to do so. Instead, I will merely focus on the elements of the game that I liked and the ones I didn't, based on my experience during the open beta. Still here? Good. Then let's move on to the part where I go over the things I liked about Battleborn, starting with the overall design. While it's not as polished, flashy, and over detailed as the upcoming Doom or Overhype, sorry, I mean Overwatch, it's clean, it's neat, and the minimalistic approach gets the job done. You could argue that the environments look somewhat dull and lifeless, but I like to believe this is intentional as it makes the important stuff stand out better. In the end, I need to recognize a wall as such before I run into it, and the frantic nature of the game ensures that I'll never have enough spare time to stand around and enjoy whatever insanely complex piping system the level artist may have managed to bump map into a floor tile. The minimalistic approach allows me to better tell where the explosions are so I can head there, because that's where the fun is happening, and the typical shooter design of the maps allows me options. So while the minions are bound to one single path, I get to choose which way to go to reach the same destination. Now, I understand that the cartoony looks will have some people divided, but it's ultimately a matter of personal taste and preference. You either like it or you don't, and if you're part of the latter, then you may as well stop watching now because you already have all you need to make up your mind. If, however, you're part of the former, you'll probably enjoy the variety and chemistry of the cast. The game makes use of different scripts and dialogues which will either change randomly or depending on the characters in the team, so multiple playthroughs of the same mission won't feel as repetitive. In the end, it won't affect what you do during the mission, but keep in mind that Battleborn comes from the creators of Borderlands, so you're bound to have a laugh every now and then. The controls are mostly the same across all heroes, but depending on what hero you are currently playing, the outcome of pressing those buttons will vary, so your game experience will be vastly different from hero to hero. The developers also have different anatomy and body frames for the characters, so not everyone is human/slash humanoid, not all women are sex bombs, and some heroes have extra limbs. There is also a great variety in size, where not all characters are equally big or bulky, and which leads me to talk about the game's physics. You see, your hero occupies an actual physical space. This isn't just reflected by the fact that you can't run through other heroes or minions, be they friendly or enemy, but also by the amount of clearance you need to be able to move around. The bigger you are, the larger the space required for you to move freely, and the easier for you to block a lane or lock an opponent into a corner. Keep in mind, however, that you will also be easier to spot on the battlefield, where large targets tend to make for great bullet magnets, both friendly and enemy, because while there is no friendly fire in the game, your teammates and minions still block bullets if they wander into your lane of fire. I also like how armor and weapons are alive, moving with you and flapping around as you dash, jump, and fight, sometimes even obscuring parts of your field of view. Your gear feels like a part of you, and that adds to the immersion. Last but not least, we have the absence of microtransactions. While we already know that there is additional downloadable content you can buy via the Season Pass, the retail release is a complete game with a story campaign, PvP maps, and all the heroes, the vast majority of which will have to be unlocked by playing the game and completing challenges. I unlocked a couple of characters in my few hours of play, so the grind didn't feel too bad, and you have multiple ways of unlocking certain heroes as opposed to just grinding to level up your command rank. Even the additional hero skins, taunts, and the hero-specific gear are unlocked by completing challenges in the game. I did mention at the start of the video that I would also go over the things I didn't like about Battleborn, right? Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. As a matter of fact, I was getting there. Let's begin with the matchmaking. The game lets you create gear loadouts, and I believe the idea behind it is that you create them to enhance a certain hero you intend to play. There is no guarantee, however, that you will be able to play the heroes for which you have created the loadouts. And once the team selection is finished, you have no means of changing things in your loadout to better match your team composition, or the enemy team for that matter, since you won't see what they picked until it's too late and the match begins. There also doesn't seem to be a hero restriction, so you can have multiple people playing the same character. I've observed this in the story missions, but I haven't tried it in the PvP games. But yeah, maybe I'm too used to playing draft pick in League of Legends, I don't know. Another thing that bothers me about the matchmaking is that it doesn't seem to take command rank and unlocked characters into account, so situations where players are matched across vastly different command ranks will occur, and this results in massive power imbalance, which is my next point. You see, not only does a rank 30 player have more game experience and thus better skills than a rank 6, but they also have access to a larger selection of heroes and items. This contributes to the phenomena of bizarre, unkillable heroes who can turn the tide of battle single-handedly, because even the concentrated attack of the entire team are unable to stop them. The beginning was fine, because everyone had the same heroes and we all had a level playing field, which made for some very fun and challenging games. The command rank gap that happened later made the game very rapidly less fun, even frustrating at times, and I refuse to believe this is working as intended. There have been patches during and since the beta, however, so some of the issues were hopefully addressed, and I do honestly hope that they will fix several additional issues before the game releases in early May. So, now that you've listened to me rambling for roughly 7 minutes, it's time to ask the decisive question: to buy or not to buy? My position on this is, it depends. I know this is confusing and everything but helpful, but allow me to elaborate so you get some perspective. Where I live, and depending on whether you pick up the game from Steam or a local store, Battleborn will retail anywhere from 55 up to $100. This is the normal edition, without any DLC and season pass or what have you, and that's a lot of money. We can all agree that there are worse things you could be throwing your money at, and I'm not saying Battleborn is a bad game by any means, quite the opposite in fact, but again, based on my experience during the beta, I simply didn't see enough to justify that kind of investment and the time commitment beyond a few hours per week. That being said, I still wanted to give the developers a chance and show them my support for including things that I did indeed like and enjoy, so I pre-ordered my copy of Battleborn from a retailer that offered generously discounted prices and ended up paying around $35 for the normal version. There, I've said everything I wanted to say about this game in this video, so this is where I will end it. If you enjoyed it and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, feel free to give it a thumbs down. If you're interested in more random gaming content, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and if there's anything you wish to share or have constructive criticism, feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, happy gaming.
The afterlife was amazing, fellas! All my kitties were there!